right, hello everybody, and welcome once again to Pass Pirate Pay, the movie discussion show. My name is Ken. I'm your host, along with my co-host Andy.
Hello there.
Hello, Andy. How are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you, Ken?
Excellent, excellent. How was your holiday?
Oh, it was fine. It was fine. It was normal. Hung out with the family. How was yours?
Yeah, pretty normal. Hung out by myself. Went to the movies. Spent few minutes on the phone with my brother and his family, and then kept to myself for most of the day. It was pretty good.
All right, cool.
It was pretty good. So yeah, we are back after our Christmas break.
Mm-hmm.
This will be our last episode of 2024.
Yes.
Today we're going to be covering shows about musicians.
That's right.
So we're going to start with the first season, or most of the first season of We Are Lady Parts.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're also doing the 2024 movies Kneecap and A Complete Unknown.
Yeah.
So we're going to get right into those. So let's get started. We're going to do the series We Are Lady Parts.
We Are Lady Parts.
Yeah. So, Andy, I watched the entire first season of We Are Lady Parts.
Which is surprising.
Yeah.
Because usually when I give you a TV show, you watch an episode.
Sure.
Or 2 episodes.
Yeah. Well, these are very short episodes.
They
you know?
are. They're really short. They're sitcom-y.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's, 24, 25 minutes per episode.
Mm-hmm.
I figure I could knock that right out.
Yeah.
I got home from work last night and watched the last 3 episodes of the first season. It was, just breezed right through them.
Right on. I have to assume then that you enjoyed it or you would have stopped.
I actually did. I thought We Are Lady Parts was pretty good. I really did kind of enjoy it. So just for context, it's a British show about a group of Muslim women, right, living in London, and they are forming a punk band called Lady Parts.
Mm-hmm.
The show it's about Amina. She's the main character. She is a very proper Muslim woman. She's looking for a husband.
Mm-hmm.
She wears the headscarf. She's doing the whole thing. And the rest of the band, they're trying to recruit her to be their guitar player. And she is reluctant to do it because she's got tremendous amount of stage fright.
Yeah.
Basically, the entire first episode is setting up to the moment when she steps on stage and vomits all over everything. Yeah. It's basically just a huge setup to a vomit punchline is the entire first episode of the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, the show follows a very formulaic arc where Amina is recruited by this punk band and she gradually becomes more and more comfortable in her own skin and aware of how repressed that she's been the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are dark moments, and then the whole thing settles with the band having a triumphant moment. That's basically how it goes.
Okay.
But yeah, I really did enjoy it. Amina is played by Anjana Vasan, and she's an actress who I had seen for the first time in the movie Wicked Little Letters. Did you see that?
I didn't.
Yeah, it's really good. It's a Netflix movie. It's Olivia Colman and Jessie Buckley and Anjana Vasan. They're the 3 main characters.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a really fun movie.
What is the premise of that? I think I've heard of it.
It's like I can't remember when it takes place, but Jessie Buckley is this wild woman, and everybody in the town, this small town that they're living in, hate her because she's too wild and reckless.
Yeah.
And so somebody starts sending Olivia Colman, who's this very proper woman, these nasty letters, and so everybody assumes that it's Jessie Buckley who's doing it.
I think I saw the trailer for this.
Yeah, and Anjana Vasan is a policewoman who is trying to investigate the things that's going on. It's a lot of fun, and she's really good in that movie, and I think she's really good on this show too.
Yeah.
There's a scene in one of the episodes where, in order to try to get over her stage fright, she goes to a poetry reading.
Uh-huh.
And she admits that the poem that she's written is terrible, but she gets up to read it anyway. And instead of reading her poem, she just basically has a meltdown on stage.
And they think it's the poetry?
Yeah, exactly. And she's kind of freaking out. But the way she's doing it, she's really emotional while she's doing it. And it's really funny and really sweet at the same time. I think she does a really good job with it.
Yeah.
And I think the show does a really good job with tone. It's a really goofy show. It's a sitcom for sure.
Yeah.
It's really goofy, but it's also really earnest. And I don't know. Everybody in the show is very likable. It's just, it's very formulaic. It's a very formulaic show, but it's very, It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
It is.
I really enjoyed it.
And told from a perspective that we don't normally see.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all of the main characters are Muslim women, and it's just...
It's a Muslim women punk band.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that it didn't shy away from, like, they smoked weed.
Yeah.
I don't think you're supposed to smoke weed as a Muslim.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think any kind of intoxicants are forbidden.
But they were butting up against Muslim rules the whole time.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. That's
like trying to pursue something they loved.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And the drummer in the band is a lesbian, which is also, taboo for Muslims.
You don't say.
That's right. The woman drummer is a lesbian, Andy. It just had to have come as a shock.
No, I mean, not that the woman drummer is a lesbian, but that it was not cool with the Muslims.
Oh, yeah. Muslims, yeah.
They don't like that.
Turns out they're not a fan
no.
of the homosexuality. But yeah, I mean, like, these women are doing things that are not, necessarily halal or whatever. And
right.
And the show just basically treats it as like, get over it, right? It's all, these women are who they are, and the show just seems to want to celebrate that rather than being judgmental. And I think that's pretty cool. There's also there's a love story involved. The drummer's brother is like a dreamy Muslim man, and he keeps showing up, and they keep having all these awkward encounters. And I think he's a really good character too. Like they have a date at one point, and I think the date is handled really well because like she's Amina is a PhD student. She's a scientist. So she's working in the lab a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And he is also a postgraduate student. So like these are two really intelligent people. And even though a lot of ridiculous things are happening, the show is not afraid of having intelligent people having intelligent conversations. Like there's a lot of things going on where the characters are using big words to basically hide their emotional vulnerabilities in a way that's really cool. Like if you think about something like, I love to pick on the Big Bang Theory because of how shitty it is.
Oh, the Big Bang Theory is terrible.
Right.
I mean, people love it.
They do. They absolutely do. And it makes
people you wouldn't expect. My parents like it.
It doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah.
Are my parents getting the, D&D jokes? I don't think so.
Right. The thing is that the Big Bang Theory, it doesn't really care about nerds. It's like, it's just a source of, like, these are awkward people. So that's just a sort of a comedy trope that they can use where it's just like,
right, yeah.
Look at these dorky idiots. But this show, We Are Lady Parts, it's got really smart people, and like it actually seems to care about them as people, and it doesn't shy away from the fact that they're smart, and it doesn't use their smartness as the punchline. It's just like another aspect of their character, and I kind of thought that was really cool and interesting.
Yeah.
Another thing that I really liked about the show was that I think the band is actually kind of good.
Yeah, and I think they're actually playing.
I think so too. It kind of seems like it.
Yeah, because I'm an expert in this field, Ken.
Of course.
I've been in bands since high school.
Sure.
Professionally even.
Yeah.
So I can comment on the realistic aspects or unrealistic aspects of them actually playing.
Yeah.
And it feels like they are.
Yeah. And like they're a proper punk band, right? So none of the band members are very good at playing their instruments.
No, it sounds like punk.
Right. And and in that way, I think it's really good, right? Like at one point, did you get to the episode where they cover 9 to 5?
Yes.
Yeah, like once they start playing it, I was like, "Holy shit! Like this is a really cool punk version of working 9 to 5." I mean, it's like I thought it was really good. I was really enjoying it. You didn't get to the last episode, but in the last episode, they finish with by playing "We Are the Champions."
Oh no,
and that is not good. That does not go well at all. But on the whole, like I really enjoy the music. Like there are a lot of songs written by the band members about Muslim woman experience. There's one of the songs that they keep playing is Voldemort Under My Headscarf.
And Bashir with the good beard.
Bashir with the good beard. Yeah, like the show is created by Nida Manzoor, who is a Muslim woman. So it's like this. This is the great thing about the fact that there are so many different platforms for TV nowadays. It's just like we're opening the doors to more experiences.
We need
right?
content, baby. If
yeah,
you got it. We'll put it on.
Yeah, exactly. And like I feel like the best versions of these things are people telling their own stories, and it just seems like this is just another one of those.
We had a recent awakening to that. It's not just that there's a lot of streaming.
Yeah,
I think that the Me Too movement, kind of broke open the doors for a lot of other cultures to get their shit on TV.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like, yeah, I mean, if you look at things like Rami or
Reservoir Dogs,
Reservation Dogs, or Fleabag, or it's just like people who may not have had a voice 10 years ago. We're just, this is like, let's just put this stuff on TV.
Can you imagine all the stories we missed?
Yeah.
All the great things that we missed?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we're just all white.
Yep, white dudes. What do white
70
dudes
years of
what
television?
do white dudes have to say? It's just like, turns out we all have basically the same thing to say. Yeah. And we've been saying it for forever.
Yeah, and, we had a great run.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let me ask you this: as a musician, as a guitar player, even, so the band seems very interested to recruit Amina because she's a super great guitar player.
Yeah,
like, oh, her guitar playing is sick, right?
Yeah.
Did you find her guitar playing to be particularly sick?
No, but in the context of British Muslim women, she might have been the cream of the crop.
That could be. It could be.
There could be maybe this weird underground movement of awesome shredding Muslim British women, but I doubt it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funny because this is a punk band, and a punk band does not need a lead guitar player shredding guitar solos. But for some reason, they're very interested in recruiting Amina to the band. I guess because that's what the show requires.
Yeah, I'm going to say something controversial.
Fire away.
But I'm not going to say it in a mean way. I think that in recent years, the guitar has been pushed more on the electric guitar. Has been the guitar in general actually has been pushed more on young boys than young girls.
I think that's a forever occurrence, right? Wouldn't you say?
And I think that that's lightening up and it's starting to even out, which is great.
Yeah.
Because now you're seeing some really good female guitarists come up, but not a lot.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, I as a person, just my personal music taste, like, I don't need virtuosity in my music, especially not in my rock and roll music.
In fact, I don't think any of the things we're touching on this episode are about virtuosity.
No, certainly not.
It's about raw emotion.
Yeah, exactly. And in that way, I just think it really works. But it's just really funny to me that it seems like once an episode, somebody will watch Amina playing guitar. It's like, sick! Yeah. But she's just like, I mean, like, I'm pretty sure I took guitar lessons when I was 14 for a couple of years, but I'm pretty sure I could be playing the solos that she's playing without too much practice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she's just noodling around a pentatonic scale for a couple of bars. And that's the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, other than the fact that this is very, very formulaic television, like it's another one of those things where I pretty much knew where the show was going to be going from the moment it started, right? You see that Amina is this very repressed person, and you just know that the show's going to end with her coming out of her shell and the band getting together and being triumphant. You just knew that was going to happen. But apart from that, I mean, I don't really have any gripes with this show. I thought it was...
No, if the journey that you take is honest and fun and comical...
Yeah.
Then I don't mind if it's formulaic.
Yeah, I agree.
Formula isn't a deal breaker for me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this show was totally watchable, occasionally very funny, and like emotionally satisfying too. Like I was along for the journey with these characters, and I thought it was totally worth a watch.
Uh-huh.
I enjoyed it.
All right, Ken. So, what are we going to give We Are Lady Parts, a pass, pirate, or pay?
All right, well, for me, I'm going to say We Are Lady Parts is a pay.
Yeah, it's a pay for me, too.
Yeah. Had
you heard of it before I suggested
No,
it?
I had never heard of it. And if you're listening, I found the first episode to be not good. And then... But by the second episode, I found it really picked up and was much more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're listening to the show and you decide you want to give it a shot, at least watch the first 2 episodes, because the first episode, I don't know, pilot syndrome, where it's just like we're throwing all of our ideas into one thing and we don't really know what it's going to be yet.
I always give a show 3 episodes.
Yeah. So yeah, but the first episode, not great, but everything after that, absolutely worth watching. Just kind of delightful, really.
Right on.
Yeah. Okay, so our second movie is 2024's Kneecap, which is directed by Rich Pepiot, and it's the story of two drug-dealing hoodlums in Belfast who decide to become a rap group, and they're gonna rap in Irish, Gaelic.
Yeah, like mostly.
Yeah, it's actually it's a mix between English and Irish, but so and they get tied up in, I guess, a real life movement in Northern Ireland to have Irish as a recognized official language in the country.
Yeah.
It says on the screen that in 2022 they had a referendum and it was added. I think that was real. That's something that really happened, right?
Yeah.
There's a political movement going on with people, having rallies and things like that, trying to get Irish recognized in Northern Ireland as their language. And these hoodlums get discovered by a teacher whose girlfriend is very much involved in this movement. And he starts telling them that it's their destiny to bring the Irish language to the masses, right? Yeah, so this movie is just basically their story, and the teacher and the two hoodlums, they form themselves a rap group called Kneecap.
Yeah, and I think this is a dramatized version of how the band started, but it's a real band.
Yeah, all the three main characters are played by the three members of the real life band. Yeah. And yeah, it seems like a thing that's really happening, and it's kind of cool. Yeah,
there's been a few things lately that have looked at the IRA in like a positive light.
Oh yeah,
hadn't happened for a long time.
Yeah, certainly not.
There's a TV show called Say Nothing.
Okay,
great TV show. I'm saving it for our St. Patrick's Day episode.
All right,
but that and this both are like shows that look at the IRA as like the good guys.
Okay, yeah, I mean it's this certainly does take the view that, the English in Northern Ireland are the oppressors, and basically every character that is trying to stand in the way of anybody speaking the Irish language is the villain in this movie.
Yeah.
So the main villain is this woman police officer, government agent, whatever she is. And she is just basically out to put a stop to all of the shenanigans that this band is doing.
Yeah.
Not for the least reason that her niece or daughter, I think it's her niece.
I think it's her niece.
Is dating one of the hoodlums.
Yeah.
So she's none too happy about that. But yeah, this movie is told in like a really vibrant, alive,
frenetic,
cool kind of way.
Yeah.
Like whenever the dudes are rapping in Irish, the words in English are scrawled on the screen.
Right.
It kind of looks like comic book panels, because the words are appearing on the screen while these guys are singing.
Which makes you get it a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It just looks really cool. The look of this movie is fantastic. And it's filmed in Belfast, all throughout Belfast. And the cinematographer seems to go to great lengths to find places where they can film, where there's graffiti all over the walls. So even when there's not writing on the screen, there's like writing on the walls in the background of everything that's going on. And it just makes for some really cool looking shots.
Yeah.
And there's also like really fun narrative tricks that this movie uses. Like at one point, the dudes are getting beaten up by some faction, and they're like, we're going to skip that part, and they go through like a VHS tape, fast forwarding through the beating that's going on. And at one point, the dudes are taking some drugs, and it goes to a claymation kind of thing that's happening for like a minute. So it's just, this movie is all about narrative inventiveness and making things look really cool, and I just think it does a fantastic job of it.
Yeah, Fassbender's good in it too.
Yeah, so Michael Fassbender plays the father of one of the two rappers who faked his own death because he was a member of the IRA and he was doing some bombings.
A lot of trouble. Everyone was looking for him.
Yeah, exactly. So in order to escape punishment, he fakes his own death and is just hanging out, living the quiet life. And the kid has to go way outside of Belfast in order to go see his dad. And Fassbender, the dad, is very keen not to speak Irish at all because he's trying to remain undercover, even though their whole thing is the sanctity of the Irish language.
Yeah.
So then when Fassbender finally does decide to speak Irish to his son, it's very meaningful because that's the thing he's been avoiding the whole time. Yeah, he's really good. I think, for non-actors, the three main guys in this movie are really
job.
Great. Like, they did a really good job.
It kind of reminded me a little of Full Monty.
Yeah, okay.
It was just kind of a madcap kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that they're trying to preserve the language. Like, at the end of the day, that's what the movie was about.
Yeah, right. Like, so the teacher tells the two kids that the thing he says that's like the defining ethos of the movie is that the Irish language is like the last dodo behind glass in a museum. Mm-hmm. And what he wants them to do is smash the glass and let the dodo out and be free.
Yeah.
Because at one point, we see the teacher in school trying to teach kids how to say stuff in Irish. Yeah. And it's just like textbook stuff that no one would ever say.
They're
ever.
All yawning.
And it's all, everybody is bored and nobody is having it. But once these rappers start to get popular around Belfast, everybody's all of a sudden interested in learning how to speak Irish, right? Like, at one point, someone comes up to them and says something to them in Irish, and they're like, "Oh, you speak Irish?" And she's like, "No, I'm learning because of you." And it's just like, yeah, like that's
cool.
That's what these guys want to do. It's just like, it's really cool. It's a really interesting thing that I didn't even know about, right? Like, I think they said they said the number. I think it was like 60,000 native Irish speakers in all of Northern Ireland.
Yeah,
which is like, it's just like, it's crazy that this language has been all but obliterated. Because once England comes in and takes over, they just kind of take over everything, right?
Yeah, they almost did take over the whole world.
Yeah, right, exactly. And everywhere where they did that, they just imposed English. You and I are speaking English right now because of that very same reason, right? But people, the native people of Nevada, I guarantee you, are not speaking English. But once the English speakers come in, that's what happens, right? Everything else gets obliterated.
Or Canada or Australia.
Yeah, everywhere. Yeah, it's like this is what these people do. This is what colonizers do, right? They make their own thing. So yeah, it was really kind of cool to see the way that they're trying to keep this whole thing alive, and. Yeah, the movie, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Didn't all work for me.
No.
Spoiler warning. Kneecap spoilers ahead. Skip to the next chapter or minute marker 29 minutes and 47 seconds to hear the verdict. You have been warned.
We'll go into the spoiler territory here because I want to talk about the ending, which is a total shit show, I think.
I like the ending.
So this movie... It is a fucking mess. It's a glorious mess. A lot of it is super fun and super interesting. So the teacher is involved with this woman who is a Irish language advocate, and this relationship makes absolutely no sense. We get no sense of why they're together. And then once she realizes that he's in this rap group, she breaks up with him, even though she tells him how proud she is of the things that he's doing. And then the kid who's in love, or who's in a relationship with the cop's niece, that relationship makes no sense either. It just feels like it was tacked on for absolutely no reason. And so the movie ends where Kneecap has this concert, and then the cops show up, and the three dudes are trying to escape the cops, and the teacher's like, this is what I have to do. And then he goes and he just gets the shit kicked out of him by cops.
I thought that was funny.
It was funny, but like, he's like, this is what I have to do. Why does he have to do it? We don't know.
We think he's going to beat the cops
right,
up.
But he just gets his ass kicked. But then the two young kids get arrested, and the one kid who's dating the cop's daughter, the cop, she comes in and just starts beating the fuck out of him with a baton. Why is this happening? I don't know. Like, and then the other kid, who's Michael Fassbender's son, Fassbender shows up, and so there's this group called the Radical Republicans Against Drugs, and they are also people who are supporting Irish language, but they're theoretically supposed to be against drug use. So they hate these Kneecap kids because they're drug dealers,
right?
But then it turns out that they're actually the Radical Republican guys are actually drug dealers.
Yeah.
Who the hell knows? I don't know what's going on. But then they're like, okay, we're going to kill this kid. And then Fassbender shows up and he's like, he's my son. If anybody's going to kill him, I'm going to kill him. And then Fassbender just kills or shoots all the Radical Republican guys in the Kneecap and then turns himself into the law. The whole thing just made no sense to me. I just didn't understand. It just feels like they had no idea how they were supposed to end this movie. And it just seemed like a total fucking mess to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like when they set out to make this movie, they're like, okay, we have this great idea and we have this message that we want to put forth, and we want to show what these guys are doing and why it's great that they're doing it. And like, great, okay, what about a story? And like, a story, don't worry about it. Let's just start rolling and let's do it. Like, that's what it seems like to me. It just seems like the narrative of this movie is totally lost, I think.
I thought the end is where it got into the point of dramatization, where they're like, we're going to go off the deep end here because it's more fun.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think the beginning of the movie is, like you said, basically telling a version of the real life story of how this group came to be formed.
Yeah.
And while you're in reality, then the narrative makes sense. But then, yeah, like you're right. I agree that they're dramatizing it and and it does go off the deep end, but like, it just, nothing really makes sense. It just seems like there are plot elements that are there for no reason and are introduced. I don't even know why. I guess to flesh out the movie. Like, these two women characters, the two relationships that these dudes are in, those women add nothing to the story. The characters are just furniture, basically. You know what I mean?
I think you need movies to have a little bit of heart. And when there's no women in movies, it tends to not have any heart. It's all balls.
I'm not saying that the movie shouldn't have women. I just think that they should have done a better job of doing something with them. The women are just not fleshed out at all. They're just not interesting characters, and the movie just doesn't seem to know what it's doing with them.
Yeah.
I don't know. When this movie is fun, drugged out, or rapping, or it's just,
that's when it was firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, it's really working. But all the other times, I don't know. It
didn't take me out of it. Like, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
But they are the non-memorable parts, because I did see it when it came out, which was what, 3-4 months ago.
Maybe even longer than that. I would say it was early summer, maybe. So maybe like 6 months ago.
Okay. So I saw it then, so I've forgotten some of it, and all the women stuff you're talking about, stuff I forgot.
Yeah. It's totally non-memorable. Like, I don't even really understand what the hell is happening a lot of the time.
I do remember seeing that movie and it being awesome, though.
Yeah.
I remember it being awesome.
Yeah. I mean, awesome is a great word to describe this movie. Even though I don't love it, there's no denying that it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's totally unique and like fun. It's a blast the whole time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of wish maybe if they gave a talented screenwriter a pass at it or given it to a director. I don't know. I think it's really well directed, so I don't necessarily want to take it out of the director's hands. I don't know. I just wish the screenplay had been more fleshed out, and maybe that would have taken away some of the fun of it. So I don't know, but I'm watching the movie as it unfolds, as the end is happening, and I'm just like, man, I wish this were better. That's all. I just wish the movie has so much promise and so much good stuff happening in it that I wish it were a more complete film.
I gotcha.
Yeah, that's my wish. But yeah, like you said, awesome, to be sure.
Yeah.
Like, so much fun. I will recommend this movie to lots of people, and I already have done so, because nobody has heard of this movie. It's really funny,
Yeah, which it shocked me after I saw it.
Yeah.
But I think they are. I think it's on the short list for Oscar stuff.
That would be fantastic. That'd be really cool. It'd be really super interesting. I mean, Michael Fassbender being in it has to be helpful, right? Because nobody else in this movie is anybody anybody's ever heard of.
I want to say it's going to be in the best foreign film category.
Is that true though? Because it's mostly in English. I don't even know how they could do it.
From Ireland.
Yeah, but usually this foreign language. I don't know. That'd be cool. I mean, any kind of recognition.
It is about a foreign language.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Even though it's English heavy.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Anything to raise the profile of the movie. It's this movie. We get in trouble when we do this, but it's on Netflix, right? Do you not know?
I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
It'll be on Just Watch on our thing. Yeah. You can find it on.
But yeah, so hopefully, wherever it is, it gets some kind of push and people get to see it, because it's a movement that I didn't know anything about. So I was happy to learn about, and it does it in a way that doesn't feel like school, which is cool. Which is a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right, so Ken, I am a little curious to see where you stand on this.
Yeah.
Is it a pass, pirate, pay for Kneecap?
Kneecap for me is a pay.
A pay.
Yes.
Even though the ending didn't work.
Even though narratively it doesn't. This movie puts enough on the table that the stuff that gets taken off the table doesn't ruin the meal.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Yeah. How about you? I'm sure. I know
it's
the
a pay
answer.
for me, for sure.
Figured
I loved
as much.
Top to bottom, I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah. Lots of fun. Great job. Go Irish language cinema.
You mean Aaron Go Bra Irish cinema?
No, that is not what I meant at all. All right, our final movie today is A Complete Unknown.
A Complete Unknown.
2024 release, directed by James
Mangold. Very curious to see what you thought of this, Ken.
Yes.
Let's start out with your Bob Dylan appreciation.
Yes. It must be said, I love Bob Dylan.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
More than just about anybody. I actually... You know how with your streaming services, they send you a year in review stuff, thing like that?
Yeah.
I got an email from YouTube Music saying that my most listened to artist in 2024 was Bob Dylan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I didn't think that was going to be true, but apparently the thing about Bob Dylan for me is that he's got stuff for all moods. Any kind of mood that I'm in, there's a Bob Dylan song or several that work in there.
And he's had such a lavish career that, well, we'll get into this later, but what I loved about this movie is it didn't go over his whole career.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because what I would have hated was to see 10 minutes on the 80s.
Yeah.
10 minutes on the 70s.
Right. Absolutely.
You know, I didn't, because there's so much that happened in those eras.
Oh, yeah. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this movie basically starts at the moment when he arrives in New York and goes to meet Woody Guthrie. Mm-hmm. So just before, the release of his first album, and it goes through the moment where he goes electric at the Newport Folk Festival, which is 1965. So it's basically 4 years of his life, and it's going in there. So yeah, this movie, I was not looking forward to this movie.
Right, because you're not a fan of biopics, right?
Music biopics are generally very bad. I think I don't like them at all. Like I thought I don't like Ray. I don't like Walk the Line. I hated Bohemian Rhapsody.
I like some of those.
All of those movies are the same. They're just not good. So I was not looking forward to this, even though, like you said, I love Bob Dylan. So this movie is one thing that it has going for it that I really appreciate is it feels like it's appropriately reverential to the music of Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
There are no fewer than a dozen times in this movie where Timothée Chalamet as Bob Dylan just starts playing and singing a song, and the movie just stops, and you just watch him singing the song, and then you cut to the faces of the people who are watching him sing the song, and everybody's just like, whoa, what am I listening to? What is happening here? And like in a way that I actually found to be really cool, right? Like, because here's the thing, how many people do you know other than me who like listen to Bob Dylan on the reg, right? This is just not a thing. Everybody talks about Bob Dylan. He's respected as this like revolutionary musical figure, a pioneer of folk and rock and roll, right? But who actually listens to his music? I don't know anybody. Like I just, there's nobody I can get into conversations with. Like, hey, what, Bringing It All Back Home, isn't that a great album? Is like, I just don't have those conversations. No, I don't know anybody who listens to Bob Dylan, really. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It just seems to me like how many, if you went to a random person on the street and asked them to name 5 Bob Dylan songs, most people I don't think could do it. Everybody would be like,
name 3.
Everybody would be like, Mr. Tambourine Man, Blowing in the Wind, Like a Rolling Stone. What else? Nothing.
There's one more.
Is there?
Times they are changing.
I guess. I don't even know.
I can name a ton, but...
Well, sure, but is that even popular anymore? I don't even know. It's just like, out in the wild, if you're in the supermarket or in a casino, you don't hear Bob Dylan songs.
Yeah.
Classic rock radio. I grew up, my parents both loved listening to that shit, and Bob Dylan songs are never on
Hardly
there.
Ever, yeah.
Anybody who's like all of his contemporaries.
And you could get away with it. You can get away with like playing like John is in the basement mixing up the medicine. You can get that could go good on a classic rock.
Absolutely. Or I mean like a Rolling Stone is a masterpiece.
If you're gonna hear one on classic rock radio, it's gonna be that one.
Yeah. I mean it's obviously a masterpiece. But it's not just a great song lyrically, it's just like a really well written song. It sounds great. I love that's the thing I love about like a Rolling Stone. I just love the way that it sounds. You know what I mean? So my hope is that this movie does a great bit of business and people are watching it and just be like, oh shit, Bob Dylan has some great songs. Like shit, I just like there's a scene early on where,
and so does Joan Baez and so does Pete Seeger.
Well, sure,
I love them too.
Sure, give me a minute. But yeah, I'm hoping somebody like there's a scene early on where Dylan is like noodling, working out the words to "Girl from the North Country," which is a great song. Yeah. And it's just like, and you're just watching it happen. This is like porn to me, right? Where it's just like, let's get a glimpse of what it's like for Bob Dylan to be recording this classic song from 1962,
or in his bedroom writing it.
And like it should be noted that Bob Dylan is totally reclusive for the most part, or I mean not reclusive, he's out and about, but he never wants to talk about his life at all. And he definitely doesn't want to talk about the inspirations for his songs.
It's one of the things I love about Dylan.
Oh yeah,
Dylan is a complete humanist. He doesn't really care much about politics.
Yeah,
he doesn't really care much about what's going on in the world. It's just from the heart,
right,
as a human being.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's just like this whole movie is based on what other people observed at this time, because it's based on a book called, I think the book's called Dylan Goes Electric, and it's about this time period, right?
Yeah.
But like none of this is coming from Dylan himself. So none of this, all of these stories have to be taken with a grain of salt, because who knows how accurate any of this stuff is. I read that
he did sign off on the movie, but he made sure that they included one completely false thing that never happened.
That's amazing.
And he won't say what it is.
That's so funny.
So we don't know what it is.
That's so funny.
He insisted.
That's great. But yeah, so I'm hopeful that this movie is really popular and like sparks a Bob Dylan musical revival.
I hope so too. The theater was full when I saw it.
Yeah, me too. I saw it in a packed theater. And the guy sitting next to me, I don't know if he was married. He was on a date. But he kept turning to the woman sitting next to him and singing along in parts of the songs, but like he didn't know the words. So it was just like, I was like, oh, this dude, what are you doing here, man?
What did you think of Timothée Chalamet's musical performance?
So this is one of the reasons why I was not thrilled about the prospect of seeing this movie, because I saw an ad for this movie where it was just Timothée Chalamet singing "A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall." Yeah. And before I saw what it was, I just heard it and I was like, what is this terrible cover of A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall? And then I looked up and saw it on the TV that it was an ad for the movie, and I was like, oh no, this sounds terrible. But actually, in the context of the movie, I think he doesn't sound exact. He doesn't sound like Dylan. He sounds like somebody doing a Dylan impression, but I think it's a really credible impression.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah, me too.
I think he was actually playing the guitar on it too. I think he's really playing guitar.
I think so too. I think all of the musical performances in this movie, like the woman who plays Joan Baez and Edward Norton playing Pete Seeger, I think all of those people are actually doing
the banjo.
He wasn't actually playing the banjo?
No.
Okay. All right. See, this is what you get when I talk to a musician.
But the rest were. Yeah, I believe so.
That's cool. But yeah, Timothée Chalamet is not an actor I love. He's not an actor I hate, but he's just a person I don't really understand his fame. Like he seems like he's been anointed as the next big young movie star.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't, he's in a lot of movies that I like, and
he's in a lot of movies.
He's in a lot of movies, but he's in a lot of movies I really like. But for the most part, I was like, I'm just thinking like, oh yeah, he's there. He's the guy. But in this movie, I think he does a very, very believable Dylan impression.
Yeah. I didn't think so at the beginning of the movie when he first got to New York.
Yeah.
And when he was like coming up in the lounge, the what do you call them, the little pub scenes?
Yeah.
But when he got to that Highway 61 version, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, there were times where I was just like, I forgot it was Timothée Chalamet.
Right.
I was like, it's the hair and the makeup and the nose. And I was like, that's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is one of he's guaranteed to get nominated for an Oscar for this movie. And this is the thing about the Oscars that makes me so angry, where it's just like, anytime somebody does an impression of a famous person that people have an idea of what that person actually sounds like, everybody's like, oh, he's a genius.
Yeah.
He's doing a better than SNL version of a Bob Dylan impression. And he's doing, it's one of the best acting performances I've seen from Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah.
But I just don't think it's necessarily great acting. I think it's just great impersonating for the most part.
Yeah.
Because the whole point of the movie, the movie's called A Complete Unknown, obviously, because of the lyric from like a Rolling Stone, but it also because that's seems to be the point of the movie, is that Bob Dylan is an enigma, and he does this intentionally, where it's just like, no one can know me. My songs are my songs. You don't have to know where they come from to appreciate them.
Yeah.
Just listen to the words. This is what the song is.
Yeah.
But if you're making a biopic about a person who is inscrutable, you're not really going to learn a lot, I think. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I don't know. I just, what do we really get out of this movie? What kind of new information is there? I guess a lot of people don't know the story of.
Yeah. Think about it. Like, we are living in a completely different time than you and I grew up in.
Yeah.
Like, there are people who have no idea. They've never heard this music.
Right. Yeah.
Especially because you said not a lot of people listen to it.
Right.
And it's not played anywhere.
Yeah.
So there are people who are coming across this for the first time. And I remember when I came across Dylan for the first time.
Yeah.
And I blew my mind every 3 or 4 minutes I put on a new song.
Yeah.
Just blew my mind.
Yeah. I had the same thing. Like, my mom had on vinyl Dylan's Greatest Hits album, and I listened to it, and then I was like, oh shit, all right. And then I just went out and I bought like some of his albums, and I bought one, and then I bought 4 more, and then I bought 4 more. I was like, oh, shit, I want to just absorb everything this guy has to say. It's just like,
I even fell in love with his band.
But yeah, I guess I don't know. It seems like it's going for all of the usual biopic stuff, except you're not really learning anything about who Bob Dylan is.
You're not learning anything.
I guess. I mean, you're seeing moments that happen in his life, but you're not gaining any insight into his character.
What you are seeing is somebody who sticks to their guns as an artist. And this is what Bob Dylan Going Electric was always about.
Right.
Who sticks to their guns as an artist in the face of everything.
Yeah.
Like all of his former friends and all the people who helped him get to where he was, he says F you to them.
Right.
I've got a thing I'm doing. And they ask him not to. Yeah. Please don't. We're trying to be folk artists here.
Yeah.
He's like, F you, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Right? And, they scream Judas at him, which they mixed a lot of that up. Sure. There was a lot of things mixed up in this movie.
Yeah, of course.
But it was a dramatization about Dylan's life. It was not a biography. It was not like a documentary.
Yeah. This movie is not kind to Joan Baez at all, I think.
No, I don't think it's very kind to Dylan. It makes him look like an asshole.
I don't know. I think he is an asshole.
I think he is an asshole.
I think this movie does a really good job of capturing exactly the specific kind of asshole that he is.
Yeah.
But so Joan Baez in this movie. So my thing that separates me from a lot of people, I think, is that I think that Dylan songs should always be sung by Bob Dylan. Like, I don't.
A lot of people think the opposite.
Yeah, exactly. I don't.
Same thing about Tom Waits.
I don't like other versions of Dylan songs, and like Joan Baez. I don't know. Maybe it's just my personal taste. It's just like when she's singing "Blowing in the Wind" in this movie, I'm just like, why the fuck would anybody listen to this? This sounds.
It was a big hit, wasn't it?
It sounds like garbage to me. Her voice singing that song is nails on a chalkboard to me. like at one point, he's like, "Oh, that's Joan Baez," says it on stage. That's Joan Baez. She's real pretty. She sings real pretty too. Maybe a little too pretty, something like that, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like her voice is way too pretty. It's like, what are you doing? You're not an opera singer. You're singing like this is like grimy, dirty music. This is folk music. Your voice does not work in this at all. And I feel totally vindicated by this, even though it's Timothée Chalamet and not Bob Dylan singing it. It's Timothée Chalamet doing a Bob Dylan impression, and those versions sound way better than anybody else trying to do his songs.
Yeah,
like and like Joan Baez at the beginning, when she's first introduced, it's like she's not doing the things that everybody else is like, oh, why don't you look up at the people and smile and be more whatever? And it's like, oh, is she a maverick too? But by the end of the movie, like when Dylan is on stage refusing to sing Blowin' in the Wind, she's the one who's like, no, this is what the people came to see. Let's sing Blowin' in the Wind. And she's just like, she's the one who is tying him to the past that Pete Seeger and all those people want him to be sticking to.
Yeah.
And it just seems like she is stodgy and she's kind of a sellout and he's the true maverick artist.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like it's very not kind to her. It seems like she does not come off well in this movie, as far as I can tell, despite the fact that, Dylan is a total dick to her the whole movie.
A dick to everybody.
To everybody, yeah. Like all the women in his life are yeah. But I don't know. So yeah, the movie also does some very typical biopic stuff where it's just like, especially music biopics, where it's just like songs are being played and the lyrics of the song are meant to explain the happenings in the movie. It happens twice with Dylan's girlfriend Sylvie, where he's singing "The Times They Are A-Changin'" on the screen, and the camera just keeps cutting to her, and she's getting sadder and sadder.
Yeah.
And this is how we're supposed to understand, because he's singing "The Times They Are A-Changin'," that means he's done with her, right? Like this is when they break up.
Yeah.
And then later on, when he's singing "It Ain't Me, Babe," that's when she once again realizes that he's done with her, and she storms off and walks away. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, these things are things that happen. And
Spoiler warning. Complete unknown spoilers ahead. Skip to the next chapter or minute marker 49 minutes and 14 seconds to hear the verdict. You have been warned.
The movie ends in what feels like a totally hacky biopic kind of way, where Dylan goes back to see Woody Guthrie again. After going electric, he vanishes and everybody's like, where'd Bob go? And he just goes back to Woody Guthrie in his hospital room, and he's just listening to Woody Guthrie songs and hanging out with his idol, right? Where it's just
right,
like,
and the song is "So Long, It's Been Good to Know You."
Yep. Yeah, exactly. But it's just like, it just seems like musical biopics do this all the time, where it's just like, well, in the end, all he really was just a guy who loved this one inspiration, and this is what he was doing the whole time. And it's just like, give me a fucking break. Woody Guthrie, I think, also, there's not a lot for him to do, because he is very sick. I think he has Huntington's chorea, I think is the disease he had.
What is that? I was wondering what that was.
Yeah,
they don't really
it's a debilitating illness that he had from the moment Dylan met him. Yeah. But the fact that he can't speak just kind of renders him as a character to be one of these people who is just like reverential of Bob Dylan, right? Because at one point he's talking to, or Pete Seeger is in the hospital room. They're not talking because Woody can't talk, but Pete's trying to talk about whatever, and Woody's just like, Bob. It's just like, just, because he can't talk, all he is a person who sees Bob Dylan's genius. You know what I mean? That's what his character is reduced to.
But like, if there was no Woody Guthrie, there would be no Bob Dylan.
Oh, sure. I'm not saying Woody. But Woody
you're just
Guthrie,
talking about the Woody character.
Yeah, the character in the movie. It's just having a character who can't talk is very convenient narratively, is what I will say. You know what I mean? But he's played by Scoot McNairy, who's one of my favorite actors.
He is a good actor.
Fantastic.
I've seen him in a ton of stuff.
Yep, he's in everything, and he's always good. So I'm happy he keeps getting work. But man, this is a character that is there for the purposes of storytelling and not much else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So for you, Ken, was A Complete Unknown a pass, pirate, or pay?
For me, this movie is, I feel like, the definition of a pirate.
Yeah.
This movie feels like a 100% average movie. Every movie made, half of them are better than this and half of them are worse than this.
Yeah.
This movie is totally okay as far as I can tell, which is better than I thought it was going to be. I was expecting to hate it, but it's totally all right. Absolutely whatever. James Mangold is the king of dad cinema. He will make things that your pops will love. It's not going to be offensive. It's gonna be a good time, and it's gonna.
What else has he done?
He did Ford versus Ferrari. Was his last movie. He also did Walk the Line.
Okay.
I'm not sure what else he's done. He's done a few, but
Johnny Cash was also in this. He played a decent sized role.
Yeah, I don't understand why Joaquin Phoenix couldn't have been brought over from the James Mangold cinematic universe. That would have been interesting. But yeah, this movie is totally inoffensive and worthwhile in that it will hopefully introduce people to Bob Dylan or reintroduce or raise his profile. It's hard to say. It's weird to say that a man who won the Nobel Prize for Literature needs his profile to be raised. But I don't know. I just feel like people need to talk more about Bob Dylan. Maybe that's just me. But
they do. I think this might do it.
Yeah,
I think it might do it.
So if you're listening to this right now and you want to talk about Bob Dylan, just find me. I will talk to you about Bob Dylan. That is a thing that I will do.
All right. I'm a pay on this.
All right. That's good.
I liked it.
That's good.
I liked it. It was good. It was a good music movie.
All right, cool. Hey everybody, next week on the show we will be doing vampire movies. Robert Eggers' Nosferatu, the French film Humanist Vampire Seeking Consenting Suicidal Person, and the 2013 Jim Jarmusch movie Only Lovers Left Alive. Hope it doesn't suck. Thanks for tuning in to Past Pirate Pay. This episode was produced by the one and only Andy Morris. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. We'd hate for you to miss out on all the fun. Curious about where to stream the movies we talked about? Head on over to PastPiratePay.com. We've got everything listed with handy links on where to watch. You can also join the conversation on our Facebook page or stalk our cinematic musings on Letterboxd. Links are on the site. Got a movie or a TV show you think we should review? Fill out the contact form, or this is cool, you can even text us right through the episode player on our website's front page. Thanks again for hanging out with us. Until next time, keep watching, keep rating, and keep it past Pirate Pay.